In this video, you'll be learning how to use and prevent problems when using the 3 hardest to work with inputs in HTML: the select option, radio, and checkbox. Firstly, why are they that hard to work with? Because they can receive multiple different values at different occasions, making them a little bit confusing when you don't really understand them thoroughly. Firstly, let's start with the select option. The select option is pretty much a select, a parent, with an options inside. It can have multiple and should have multiple options, and should also have a label so we know what we are talking about. You can put here fruits you like. The first thing that you should do is applying a name. The name for the select is the name that you will ask for in the form when you submit it. So you can put something like fruits. The ID should also be the same as the name, it usually is. Then you can also put the fruits in the label, because the ID and the label should always be the same. Because if you click here in the label, the select option will get focused, so you understand where you are touching right now. Now, inside each option, you need to put some text that will be shown to the user. So you can put banana, apple, and orange. This way, the 3 options will appear in the select option. And then you can also put values, and it's not about can, but you should. If you are using a form, if you want to receive data from it, you cannot simply expect that the computer knows what you want. The banana should have something like banana, the apple should be something like apple, and the orange should be something like orange. Because other way, these options will have no value, and it's kinda pointless to do it other way. Now there are also another things that you can add to your select option. Being the first one, the required. So I'm just going to put here input submit, the form. Now I'm going to close the form. Now we are working inside a form. If I put the submit, okay, it's because we have a banana here. The required doesn't really make much sense in here. You are not going to understand it properly because the required it's when you don't have any value. And in this case, you'll always have a value. Another thing to make sure that your select option is of another level, you can add another option that's going to be at the top, of course, and you can put the value of null. Why, you ask me? Because we are going to try to make some choose an option, so it becomes even more intuitive. You click in here, oh, choose an option, I will choose one option. Ah, the banana. However, there are 2 problems in here. First one is that you can come back after the choose option. So let's solve it up. We are going to put disabled equals to disabled. I'm going to remove the zoom from this one, and then you already cannot come back to the chosen option again. However, you cannot even start in it. So I'm going to put selected equals to true. In this case, it will always start with the first option. However, the moment I choose banana, I cannot come back. Now, there are more things that you can also add to your select. As an example, you can put multiple, and in this case, it will look a little bit different, right? Because you can select all, so banana, then left control, apple. Now the 2 are selected, orange, then the 3 are selected. Of course, you need to press your left control to do that while clicking. You also have the size. The size, it's only applied when it's multiple, so you can only see one at a time. If you put size of 2, you can see 2 options at a time. Well, this multiple and this size is not really much used, it's pretty ugly, but it's just so you know. The next input is going to be the radio. That one that's like this input, and then you put here radio. And here's the ball. Let me just put here a paragraph around this one here. I'm going to put a paragraph around this. So now, here's the radio. You can select it, but you cannot uncheck it, unselect it. But this is full of problems. The first problem is we don't have a name, nor an ID. So, name. In this case, we are going to deal with, well, with animals. And the ID is going to be, in this case, the value that you are going to apply. So this is going to be the dog. And then you can see that we have the dog. I'm going to apply a field set because we are going to apply different levels for different inputs. So I come here, I will put the label after it. So I'm going to put here a label, and the label is going to be for the dog. And I'm going to put here dog. In this way, we are already helping the user understand what he's clicking on. Because if you don't put it, it will not look cool and it will not work. Another thing that you can use to make it more intuitive, if you know the field set, you can put here a legend. Me, right? And put animals, which is sort of the title of this field set here. You can also put animals in the middle, the legend, but that's for styling, and I'm not going to teach you this right now. If you want a video about it, leave a comment. Well, since we already have the label and we also have the input, I'm going to put here a paragraph to separate. You can put a div. Yes, a div would be preferable. In this way you have a div for the dog, but there's a problem here. The ID is the dog, the name is animals for dog and all, but what's the value? What's the value of this radio input? We don't have it, right? So you need to put dog for the value. So when we actually send the form, if we have this selected, this is going to show as, well, dog. After this you can just copy and paste, and here instead of dog we are going to put cat. Here is going to be cat as well. And well, since the input of the tape radio is meant when you want to use multiple options, but only one can be actually selected. In this case, if I put dog, I cannot want a cat as well. I can only either have a dog or a cat. And for that, the name needs to be equal. Because if the name changes, instead of animals, I put animals 1, they're already different groups. So they can be selected at the same time. And the radio, it's only for when you want only one option out of multiple options. If you want to have multiple options selected at the same time, you are going to use the product of the input of radio. You are going to use the field set again, because we are really professional, the legend. We are going to put languages, we're going to put here div, we are going to put input. Now the checkbox, which is the radio product, now we're going to put name. The name would be something like languages, and the ID could be English, EN. Now we are going to put also label, N for the English. There we go. Now we can also put another one, and we only need to change the ID and 4, which could be PT, which is my language, Portuguese. However, there's a problem. Where's the value? You didn't put the value, guys. I know, that was my bad. I'm going to put here a value, because just like the radio, you always want to receive a value from it. And as you can see, we also need to have the same name. We select both. Why? We can select both at the same time because we are using checkboxes, but the name needs to be same. The name being the same, you can select everything and store it inside the variable. However, pay attention to this. If you are receiving data from PHP or somewhere else, this is like a variable. And if you select English, English is going to be the variable. But if you select Portuguese, Portuguese is going to be in the variable. However, if you select both, what do you think it will happen? No, this will not send the both. They will simply change the language for English when he reads the first one, but then he reads the second one and it's going to see Portuguese. Okay, so language is Portuguese. And everything else that was previously is not going to get stored. So if you want to work with data in another places after you get it from here, from the forms, you need to put here these square brackets to indicate that this is an array and you will receive multiple values. Of course, this works perfectly fine. Now there are some improvements that you can do. As an example, in the dog, you can come here and you don't select anything and it submits anyways. But different from the select, you can come here to one of the inputs, it doesn't matter, just one of the group, which has the name animals. You can come here and put required. Now, it is required to select at least one option, even though you put here down there and come here, put a space, submit, it's always in the first one, because at least one of those two needs to be selected. And you can put the same as here in the checkboxes. If you want the checkboxes to also be required, put the dog or the cat, then submit. Oh, please, at least one. Before you proceed, you need to put at least one. Then submit, and now it's already possible to do. This is nice to do because sometimes you want to receive data and the data becomes null and it gives errors, and that's not good at all. So another thing that you can do instead of the required, it isn't required as an example, you can come here to the English. Well, this whole page is in English, and if he's reading it up till now, he should be pretty much able to talk in English, so checked. This way it will start as checked. So you can put a dog and submit, it's alright. This way, please select option, but then you can, because the English comes from default. Of course, you can remove after it doesn't matter. And if you remove, you put the dog and put again, it goes again because it starts from checked. It's basically that. Another way of solving this problem of the null stuff, you also have the possibility of doing the same as you did here. You come here for the input, you can put the input of Let me remove the required, and you come here and put input, type radio, okay, no problem, name. The name needs to be the same, animals. Then you put the value of null and put the style display none. And in this case it will not appear there, it will start as null, even though it is required for as the group have some value, it will start with this one if you put here the checked. Then if you submit, it's alright. Imagine that you remove here, come here, then remove the checked. The only problem that it will find, wait, we don't have the required checked. Okay, in this case, you submit, it's okay. You remove this up, you need to put it. However, if you remove the checked, it doesn't matter, okay? If you come here, reload the page, it will only ask for the second one. Why? Because the thing with this individual input here is that since it's already checked, even though the value is predefined and the display is none, it's there, it's checked, it is okay to continue, just like that. Of course, this way you can simply remove the required as well, because you don't need it. This way you will always receive the null. Or you can put something like nothing. Well, it's up to you. This way you can already prevent some errors with your JavaScript, with your PHP, with anything you are using to receive data from these HTML forms. And with this, it's everything. You've secured the inputs, you've created inputs, make some validations, and prevented some major errors in your web application. I'm Diogo Veigas, and if you have any doubts, leave them in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed and see you soon.